Hey, welcome to Outsmart Your Guitar. Glad you could join us. Today is part 3 in the Aeolian mode, so we're in the third position of the mode, and that's the Dorian form. So let's just get right to it, and be sure to like and subscribe to Outsmart Your Guitar along the way. Also, remember, down in the description is a link to patreon.com Outsmart Your Guitar. Click on the link, go on over, join for free, have access to some lessons with the written material included, and then come on board as a full patron, subscribing at one of 3 levels. You'll be glad you did. All right, let's go. On screen, you see the third position of the Aeolian mode, the Dorian form. We're at the 8th fret, and you start with your first finger. Let's walk through this. Now, as I do this, I'm going to go a little quick, so if you need to rewind and listen to it and watch it again and play through it, go ahead and do just that. All right, so we're at 8 with the first finger on the 6th string, third finger at 10, fourth finger at 11. Move over to the 5th string at 8 with your first finger, fourth finger at 10. You'll see the 4 in the circle there. This makes it easy to get back to 7 on the 4th string with your first finger. Second finger at 8, fourth finger at 10. Do the same thing on the 3rd string. First finger at 7, second finger at 8, fourth finger at 10. Now you shift back to the 8th fret with your first finger and on the 2nd string. Third finger at 10, fourth finger at 11, first finger at 8 on the 1st string. Now, because you play the D and the D sharp at 10 and 11 on the 6th string, which is an E, the high E means you can play the D and the D sharp here as well on the 1st string, because you play it here, just 2 octaves lower. So now, playing this ascending, accent, highlight, tap your roots at 10 on the 5th string and 8 on the 2nd string. I tap it 3 times. And again, the reason you want to do this is to keep yourself rooted in the key of G, playing the Aeolian mode and hearing only the Aeolian mode. So do that for a couple of minutes. Now, descending, as always, is in reverse, same fingering for everything. 8th fret on the 1st string with your first finger, 2nd string, 4 at 11, 3 at 10, 1 at 8. Moving to the 3rd string, shift, 4th finger at 10, 2nd finger at 8, 1st finger at 7. Repeat that on the 4th string. 4th finger at 10, 2nd finger at 8, 1st finger at 7. Now on the 5th string, your 4th finger at 10, your 1st finger at 8. This is making so it's possible to hit the 11th fret on the 6th string with your 4th finger, 3rd finger at 10, 1st finger at 8. Again, playing this descending, you want to tap your roots. Now you can start here or you can start here. Come back up to the root. You always want to resolve to a root to keep yourself in key. All right, so you play descending for a little bit, get yourself comfortable with it. Then you play both ascending and descending. Once again, tapping your root at 10 on the 5th string and 8 on the 2nd string to keep yourself grounded. And come back up to the root. I'm doing just one cycle. You do a bunch of cycles, but when you end, always resolve to a root. All right? A few minutes ascending and descending. For those of you who like the tab, here it is. Follow the fingering and just play through. Tap your roots even though it's not delineated in the diagram. Here you go. And always come back to the root. You can add those extra notes if you want. I don't have them here, but that's okay. You know they're there to play. You can play them if you wish. Now, what I want you to do is call up the progression we've been using thus far in this series, the G minor, C minor, G minor, D minor progression, if you have it in a memory position in your looper. If not, go ahead and re-record it. It's straight eighths. Do it at a nice, easy tempo. The exercise is simple. You're just going to run the third position up and back. You don't need to repeat, tap the roots, because the progression itself is going to keep you grounded in the key and, of course, the scale as you're playing it. So be disciplined, be focused, do not deviate, just play the pattern, the form, the position, up and back, over the top of the progression. And here's what you're going for. No need to tap the roots because the progression keeps you grounded in the key of G. And you can hear the Aeolian mode even though you're playing a different pattern, because the notes tell you that this is that mode, because the roots help ground you in that mode, in that scale. Okay? So do this for a couple minutes. Don't deviate, right? Just stay focused. Just play the pattern, as I mentioned before, for a couple of minutes. Now that you're more comfortable playing this position, I want you to now focus on playing melodically in this third position. Don't go below, don't go above. Stay strictly focused in this position. Now, there are notes you can bend that can further enhance, and even so you can bend first string at 11, a full step, second string at 11, full step, third string at 10, a full step. So you can add those little enhancements, but stay in this position and do not move above or below the position at all. Stay focused. You want to mine this for what you can in helping you understand what's available to play. Here's what you're going for, and you can start anywhere you want. And you just play through that and really have fun with it and enjoy the process. Now, the other thing you want to do is understand, just as we've talked before, The pentatonic minor third position is also available. Remember, the pentatonic minor is like a skeleton structure upon which you can add the color tones of the Aeolian, right? Those extra notes that are available, right? You've got that note, right? That note, and that note, all available to you, right? And there. So pay attention to what you're doing. Use the pentatonic minor and flesh it out with the color tones of the Aeolian mode. All right? So this is the idea put in play. And play around with that for a while and really see how you can take both scales and how they complement each other when you insert the color tones of the Aeolian mode into the pentatonic minor in this position. Because the notes of the pentatonic minor in the third position are inside the Aeolian in the third position, right? You just have those two extra color tone notes that the Aeolian brings to the party to help enhance the solo by giving you extra stuff that you can put in there to give you a more fleshed out melodic concept. All right, so spend a few minutes on that, have fun with it, and really enjoy the process. Okay, there you have it, the third position of the Aeolian mode to help you further flesh out what's going on with this scale. Of course, you want to practice each of these positions individually so that you're furthering your muscle memory and your memorization. And then the order in which they occur, again, I can't emphasize enough, this is why we use the Aeolian, Ionian, Dorian names. When you name something, it's a little bit easier to remember it, right? So that you're able to then recall it because you've been putting it into your memory that this pattern is associated with this name, and the order of the patterns also becomes another way of memorizing the pattern, where it sits in relation to the root or other patterns around it. This is critical stuff for you to incorporate into the way you approach it so that at some point you don't have to think about it anymore. You just know it. And that's when your playing becomes a little more expressive and a little freer because you're not thinking in terms of patterns and names. You're thinking in musical terms. You're thinking in melodic terms, right? So that you're not putting names anymore. They are so deeply ingrained, you don't have to think like that. And you can focus on the melody that you're trying to create. If you're improvising and if you're composing melodies, then you're just following a flow, and the pattern that you play, that particular part of the melody becomes easier to remember because you were here and you moved down to here. That sort of harkens back to knowing the patterns of each position. When you're composing, you kind of fall back a little bit into that. But when you're just playing to figure things out, you're not thinking like that. It's just that, okay, now that if I need to write it down, and I always write down my solos, where is it and how do I write it? timing wise, all of that stuff, which is a whole other topic itself. But, the cool thing here too is that in just playing over the top of these, you're actually helping your improvisational skills as well. You take licks and see where they work, if they work, and when they work in relation to what part of the progression. A pattern a lick may not work in one part of the progression, but it may work in another part of the progression. And that's part of the experimentation and exploration as well. Okay, so that'll do it for part 3. So you take care of yourself until the next lesson. And when it's up, I'll see you there.